Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morgan Monroe State Forest. Happy Sunday. It is a beautiful day out today. Still a little on the chilly side, still under 60, but hopefully the sun is out, so I'm hoping it'll get up into the 70s today. It is the weekend before Dayton Hamvention, and I got a lot of stuff to do, so I can hit the road, like mow the lawn, things like that, since I'm going to be gone a little bit longer. Although I don't live too far, just over here in Indiana, central Indiana, from Ohio, but I am going to stay the entire time over there. So I need to make sure I get some of that household stuff done so my wife doesn't yell at me. So we are here today, and it's hopefully going to be a good stream this morning. So I am going to talk a little bit about Dayton Hamvention. We're going to do some on-air activation, like normal Sunday morning. But then also, I started stumbling down this road of I wanted to put a digipeater back up. I had one a few years ago, and I brought it down when we built the building, and I moved everything out. I never really put the 2 meter 70 centimeter antenna back up or anything. So, well, I shouldn't say it was always up. I route the cabling out to the building and everything. So I did that, but also kind of where I live is I'm down in a valley, and so you've got metropolitan Indianapolis and metropolitan Bloomington, and they're about 300 feet above us. So just about everything in this valley is for the most part, unless you're dealing with one of the high profile repeaters, kind of dead. They've got a local repeater here, and it's not the same amount of coverage, but so what I wanted to do was get that digipeater back in. Now I've used DigiPi in the past, and that worked good, but I wanted to do a little bit more. And it just program that I stumbled across on X, and went ahead and downloaded it and went into it. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Real quick, good morning, Cooley checking in first thing. He was here early. Good morning, Aaron, checking in. Just Joe checking in this morning. Good morning, Tim. Joe's saying, tell my wife Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, my gift to her was to get out of the house and let her sleep in. So Julie checking in this morning. Good morning, Julie. Happy Mother's Day to you. Rob checking in this morning. Kilo Charlie 2 Tango Echo Lima checking in from New Jersey. You know what? I think Rob checking in this morning. Robert checking in. Heading to Dayton with 3 sticker designs. It's his first Hamvention. He is excited. He says he's got a five-way at Skyline Chili and with his name on it in the future. And Robert, I'll tell you what, man, Skyline is one of those, you talk about controversy. People either love it or hate it. And it's definitely interesting, and the folks from Texas will tell you, if it's got beans in it, it's just bean soup. It's not chili. And it's kind of interesting. So good stuff. I hope you like it. It is a little different in the sense that it's they serve it on top of spaghetti, and but which is a whole nother whole nother thing, because kind of here in the Midwest, and I'm sure it's around other places, they have what they call chili mac, where they throw macaroni into the chili to so now you got beans, which the Texas boys just absolutely despise. And then you get macaroni in there, which I think the other half of the country despises that. So, well, you think politics is divisive. Chili will be there too, and I'm sure it's going to be just as decisive this week in Dayton, since Skyline Chili is a Ohio institution. So, Joe's just asking, does my family ever go with you? No, my wife values this time with me being gone, so she can sleep in. I did have and I've got two boys that are young and at home, and they're not really down with the radio stuff. Just kind of depends. My teenager's old enough that if I want to come over here to the park or whatever, I don't worry about leaving him by himself for a little bit. My younger guy, though, I'll bring with me. But we'll try to do some fun, do some hiking. I'm not a big hiker, but just going out and playing in the woods and stuff like that. So I'll bring him along. He can kind of hang out while I do it. My wife, on the other hand, it was kind of fun. I think I mentioned it here. She wanted to go over to Brown County, and there's Brown County State Park, which isn't too far from us, and it's one of Indiana's premier state parks. So it's traveled a lot. It's always busy in the summertime, but we have these long rolling hills and everything like this. So it's really popular for the fall when the leaves are changing. We'll get a lot of people. And my wife's like, well, hey, let's go over here. We'll go to a concert. They've got a really great music venue over there too, that draws a lot of big artists in. Not ones like Packet Arenas and stuff like that, but artists that are on the tail end of their touring career, where where they could easily book a 2,500, 3,000 seat venue without any problem. But you wouldn't want to go into a bigger one. So she's like, yeah, we'll go over there, Airbnb. And then she said, and I think there's a POTA park over there that you can do. So she was trying to make it more, fun for me to be over there. What she didn't realize is that there was like about 17 POTA parks over there. And so we went on a little rove, and I think she was a little bored with that. So, Whiskey 9, Fox Hotel Charlie, Steve checking in this morning. Good morning. Kelly checking in this morning. Good morning, Kelly. Snow Cones checking in this morning. Good morning. Never been east of Arizona. Have no dog in this fight. I think that's over the chili stuff. So, John checking in this morning. Good morning, John. So, Dayton Hamvention. We are I'm going to be meeting up with Jeff K3JRZ, who Jeff and I and a couple others do the kids table every Wednesday night. So Jeff and I, and then and I love to call him Kevin only because his call sign looks like it, but Mike, KE0VIM. For whatever reason, that looks like Kevin. So it's kind of been a running joke. But three of us, we've got a Airbnb over in the Xenia area. Be a lot of people there, and actually tonight on Jason Ham Radio 2.0's live stream, Jason at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. There'll be myself and a whole bunch of other ham tubers on the stream, and we'll be talking about Dayton tonight as we all head that way to converge and enjoy the week over there. But so we're gonna get a Airbnb, and we'll be staying there. I think Wednesday night still, we've talked about doing that Taco Bell Summit, Soda Summit in Cincinnati. I'm not sure if I'm going to live stream from there. I think by the time it's all said and done, we're going to be there early enough. We'll probably get that done in the afternoon during the daylight hours, and then probably do the kids table from the Airbnb. So it'll be a little bit easier and a little less chaotic. The summit, if we were just like out in the woods or somewhere where it was kind of isolated, it'd probably be okay to do a live stream from there. But I'm a little concerned about because it's in town, and it's at a public venue for the most part. I don't want to have some issues, and I don't know what it's like around there, so I don't want to have any issues with passerbys. We are going to be in a city, so God knows what kind of maybe a drunk or something like that might show up. So got Richard checking in this morning. VE3 Z Victor Yankee says, good morning from Clinton, Ontario. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining today. So just looking over, and I probably should share it, make things a little easier. Looks like 6 commercial buildings this year. Then the outdoor flea market, and I do want to say this, and there's the outdoor flea market with people selling whatever, and I've got a map of that, and it's even bigger than what I thought. But in addition to that, there's also vendors that will set up outdoors in lieu of being in the buildings. And sometimes it's because it was a last minute thing. This is something new. There wasn't a spot open, or it sometimes just boils down to cost. And I don't know what they're charging for booth space inside a building, but it just may be out of the budget for some of these smaller companies. So Mike said he's just checking in. I tell you, Mike was blowing up my ham alert this morning between Mike, events, BE6LK events popped up in ham alert this morning, and Philip, and I can't think of the full call, but COE down in Georgia this morning also was active, and I was afraid I was going to have to mute ham alert. Dave checking in this morning. Frequency Frontiers. Make sure you guys go check out both Mike and Dave's channels. But and that's what I was afraid of. Okay, I'm gonna have to reshare here. So this, get it on the screen here. There. All right. So this is basically the layout of the Dayton Hamvention and all of the booths, the 3 primary buildings, and all of your anchor vendors will be in there. So all the manufacturers should have presence. The Yaesu, ICOM, Elecraft, Flex, Kenwood, although it's up in the air. Kenwood was booked for Orlando and backed out at the last minute for whatever reason. Backed out's probably not the right term. They didn't come to the show. So speculation on that. I don't know. They're still on the list. We actually found out that for Orlando that Kenwood was not coming just basically at the last minute. It was I believe Mike, the gentleman who was the chair for Orlando, mentioned it on a live stream, more like breaking news kind of thing. So the big one though is that outdoor flea market, which sorry about having to keep swapping. There we go. There is quite a bit of space out here. So if you look at this layout, so we've got the commercial buildings, and I hope my mouse is up here, but up here in the top left-hand corner is where all the commercial buildings are at. And that was the other diagram we looked at. Every one of these boxes is someplace where you can put a vendor. So they've got them all the way around the outside or the inside, outside of the infield, around the inside of the track. You've got them laid out in a grid system along the track. Up on the northwest corner, or the top left corner of the where the grandstand area is, there's a ton of commercial vendors there. And then down south of the buildings, also there's several rows of vendors. So it is going to be good. It is definitely worth your time to go out there. You can spend an entire day out there in the flea market, just in that. Now, I will recommend it. Wear some sunscreen. There's no shade out there. Now, when you get into the area where around the grandstands on the outside of the track, but inside the track, no shade. Now, most of the vendors will have some form of a pop-up tent or something like that out there for them and their stuff, but wide open. And so this is May in the Midwest, so it could be rainy one day, sunny the next minute, snowing, and you might experience all 3 to 4 seasons in the same day, sometimes in the same afternoon. So be prepared for that. So everything from a poncho to sunscreen to somewhere in between, and check the weather forecast for the Xenia area, because you may want to bring an umbrella too or something along those lines. So that is that. As far as is there anything for the people that are going, they're in the chat, is there anything that you're looking for this year there? I've personally, what I've been thinking about, I've used the 891 and the ATOS here in the truck, and I like it. I don't really do HF while I'm driving, just because of the hands-on, some of the hands-on nature of having to do to control it, find frequency, stuff like that. But I love the ability to just go somewhere. I'm driving along the interstate. I'm heading somewhere, and I can say, "Oh, yeah, I need to take a break," and I'll find a POTA park, and that's literally what I'll do. Is, a lot of cases, if I'm tired or I just need to get up and stretch and go to the bathroom, instead of going to a truck stop, I'll find a state park along the route and just jump in there. And as long as I've got an internet connection and I can get spotted, for the most part, unless there's some odd thing, I will be able to get activated in 10 minutes or less. So not that big of a deal. Aaron says, bring mud boots. Absolutely. Might be a little too much, but if it does rain, though, that is a horse track. And tractor pull area. So it can get a little muddy down there. Julie says, the countdown is on for Dayton. Do you want to get thrown out of an Applebee's? Yeah, Julie, let's do that. Let's see if we can get thrown out of an Applebee's this time. So not in a bad way, but they kicked us out because it was time for them to close. Cooley says he's looking for mobile antennas. And, you know, I think I am too. Last, down in Orlando, I spoke to Tar Heel, and I've been holding out. Personally, I'm Team ICOM. Although inside the truck, I've got all Yaesu stuff, and I like the FTM 400. It's got a large display in it, and I like that for the 2 meters, 70 centimeters. I've got the 891. It is very simple to use. It's a decent radio. It's in a mobile footprint, and it does the ATOS, which is that combination. I'm not gonna lie, it's good. But between the two brands, I'm more Team ICOM. So I'm interested in this X. Was it 026 announcement that they're going to unveil at Dayton? My guess is that it's going to probably be something under glass still, which is fine. They, I think, technically have to have it under glass as a commercial product if it does not have its type certification from the FCC. And that really isn't a big deal. You as licensed amateur radio operators can build a radio all day long. It's because that's a commercial interest or commercial venture. It has to go through the FCC to be evaluated to make sure it meets the specs to be sold to the general public. And that's the differentiator, being sold to the general public. Kit radios, kind of like those 80% lowers, you know, or as long as it's still kind of in a kit form, you know, it doesn't have to go through that certification, because you, the licensed amateur, are taking responsibility for that. So Julie says they're out in the park this morning. I'm going to fire up the radio here in just a second. But Tar Heel has got an antenna that's similar in size to the ATOS. The only downfall to that is that it doesn't have the integrated tuning, you know, and that is the nice thing. I will say that, right? When it gets time to getting lazy, it's nice to just hit that tune button and have the antenna do that same thing. And of course, Eric's going to argue with me, but that's okay, Eric. Feel free to argue. Commercial radios do have to be accepted and signed off by the FCC. Non-commercial stuff, you as the licensed amateur radio operator are taking responsibility for that. Aaron says, very smart of ICOM to let FTX come out first and learn from those mistakes. I don't know. It's got to be interesting. My hope is that the radio is kind of a replacement, a next generation of something like the 7100 that's still mobile, detachable faceplate, has the HF, has the VHF, UHF. You get everything in one package. You know, the mock-ups that they've had and they've shown, you know, it kind of looks like that. You know, they've kind of hinted and indicated that there's multiple antennas. So I am excited to see it. Hopefully it will be that way. The 400's getting a little long in the tooth. And then the 891 it's an older design too. So I'm excited, like I said, to see that and get going. So let's get on the air. And All right. So that is a nice feature of the ATOS 120 is just being able to hit that tune button and let it go do its thing, get it in the area. Now, when I was talking with Tar Heel, one of the things he said is that they have a device, and I got to run a second line out to control the up and down, where the nice feature about the ATOS is it does send that bias voltage down the coax to control it up and down. So they do have a tuning box, but he said based on where I've got the antenna, since I've got it out front, I can visually see it. I should just be able to use the manual box and get it right into that ballpark and essentially do the same thing I do with the ATOS now, and actually do the fine tuning, get it in the area, and then basically see what my standing wave is, and then adjust it accordingly, because it'll get you, I think 1.7 to 1 is the target for it to be considered tune on the ATOS 120. So sometimes I can bump it up and down just a hair and maybe go 1.2 or 1.3. Does it make a big difference? I don't know. Really, at a certain point, it doesn't. Will it get me 3 blocks further down the road? Possibly. So band seemed pretty quiet this morning. So today I'm using World Radio League to log. It doesn't look like anybody's in that area. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. So I just got the ham alert, so hopefully some people know I'm here. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Kilo Charlie 5, Mike Juliet Echo. Good morning.
Roger, I have you at 33, Oscar Kilo, 33, Oscar Kilo.
I copied the 3-3, my friend. You're a little light here too. I'm going to give you a 4-5, 45.
Thanks for activating, 73.
All right, thank you. Have a good morning at 73, my friend. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
November Romeo 9, Quebec.
November Romeo 9 Quebec. Good morning, Christopher. You are 5-9 plus.
I will give you a 5-9 here in Illinois. Is the call right? November Whiskey 9 Fox.
QSL, my friend.
That's QSL.
Yes, sir. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot.
Thanks. Appreciate the new part.
All right, thank you. Have a great day today at 73. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Morning, Chris. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
Whiskey 9 Uniform.
Was that Whiskey 9 Uniform Mike?
Roger. You're 5-2, 52 into Minnesota.
Hey, Jim, I copied 5-2 into Minnesota. I'm going to give you 5-2 back this morning, my friend. Thank you for the contact in 73.
7-3.
All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Nothing in Vermont. Yeah, it seems quiet. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Just wanted to make sure that I was actually, I've done that once or twice before. I'll spot a frequency that I'm not on. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Yeah, even Cooley says he can't hear me. He's just on the other side of the ridge. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot going QSY to 20 meters. So let's try 20 meters and see how that goes. It's like watching the grass grow here. So here's the lake this morning. All the trees are filling in, so the view is reduced. But that's what it looks like there this morning. It's nice. Still very peaceful and nice to come and hang out. So let's see what we got on 20 meters. Is it 336? That seems pretty quiet as it is. Let's see anybody that I'm going to interfere with. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot.
Well, I hear somebody in there, but that's it.
Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
Park to Park.
Go ahead, Park.
This is Whiskey Zero Quebec Golf. Whiskey Zero Quebec Golf.
Whiskey Zero Quebec Golf. Devin, good morning. You are 5-9 into my park, US 4215.
Roger, the 4215. I got you 5-9 into my 2 Park, US 3038, US 3038, and US 4568. 4568. Good though.
I copied 5-9 into US 4568 and US 3038. QSL.
Yeah, I'm getting some QRM over here. I think there might be a net going on one of these frequency over here. WZTV.
Roger. I'll go ahead. Yeah, it's quiet, but I can probably shift and find another frequency. But hey, Devin, thank you for the contact today. Have a great activation in 73.
All right, you as well. 73.
All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. I tell you, I sure don't hear anybody. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
K1AB, anyone.
November Foxtrot 4 Zulu, if you can hear me.
Was there a Foxtrot 4 Zulu?
November Foxtrot 4 Zulu.
November Fox 4 Zulu. Good morning. You are 5-9, 59, Michael.
Good morning. Thank you for listening real hard to get me there. I know the conditions are not real good, but I'm in South Carolina, and you're about 5-5 in South Carolina.
I copied the 5-5 from South Carolina, my friend. Thank you for the contact this morning at 73.
I got your contact at 1341. 1341 is the time, and I got your part number is 4215, right?
QSL 4215, my friend.
Thank you for taking my call. Have fun out there. Happy Mother's Day.
All right, thank you. Have a happy Mother's Day, and pass that on to your family, my friend. Have a great day in 73. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ.
Whiskey 5, Quebec, Zulu.
Whiskey 5, Quebec, Zulu. David, good morning, 5-9.
QSL
Hotel, you're 59 in Texas from Whiskey 5, Quebec, Zulu.
All right. Thank you for Texas this morning. Have a great day today in 73. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. I might have to come back later today. The band is, well, you heard it with that, what was it, November 5 or November Fox 4 Zulu. I mean, just in that, while he was talking, he was up and down, up and down. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. All right, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, going QRT. Well, and that's how the cookie crumbles, right? So sometimes the bands are good and sometimes they're not. And like I said, as you saw with that November Fox 4 Zulu contact there, it was up and down. He was strong, and at some points I could hardly hear him. So like all things in amateur radio, it'll change. So it'll be good. So let's actually just kind of set that aside for now. And one of the other things that I wanted to talk about today was, and I briefly touched on it, was APRS. I live in an area where it is kind of devoid of APRS because Indianapolis and Bloomington, the two communities, sit up here and I'm down here. So things pass over. Indianapolis has two high-profile repeaters in there, and one of those groups also runs a digipeater. So, and I believe the antennas are 300 or 400 feet above ground level. So they're up there a little ways, 1,300 feet above sea level. It's pretty high. That's great. I can hear those, and most of the stations, the direct RF contact that I get is from the Whiskey 9 ICE, W9 ICE digipeater. I get some from down in Bloomington, and everything else is really just the people passing through. So unless you're on the interstate, because Interstate 69 is out here, there's a big hole. And most people that you see on the map, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. So most stations that you see on the map here, and you can see the big void, like this one over here. There's I don't want to call it a mountain range. It's not a mountain range. It's foothill range. We have a lot of northern Indiana, very flat. Southern Indiana, not so flat, right? Which is great. But like, I can't directly connect with this digipeater on the other side because there's a 200 feet of earth between us. So my signals have to go up and come down. And there's stuff down here, but this whole area, and this is I-69 corridor, and we're about 200 feet below the rest of, even up here in the northern part of the county, and then down here, and this is actually the area I'm in right now. So I've put the digipeater up here in town to do that. And one of the projects that I've been working with, just to oh, wrong one. No, wrong one. Sorry. Well, we might be having problems here. I don't know why this isn't. Never any good. Sorry, the security is not letting me go, and I need to let me go. And I'm not getting the oh, by the way, it's a bad certificate. So ignore it. I'm not getting that one, which is fine. And I'm trying to connect to my node at home, so it's not a big deal. Let me see if this will let me do it now. All right. Well, that just ruined the day. Sorry. Wow. Not only the band's messed up, but I'm having problems getting the thing. What I wanted to do is, so there's a package called Graywolf, GRAYWOLF, and it's it's an APRS server that you can install. It runs in Windows, runs in Linux, runs on Raspberry Pi, and also Mac OS, and it's using the Rust engine, and is essentially an alternative to Direwolf. And Direwolf's great, no problems with that. Problem with Direwolf, though, in general, is that it is it's all command line based, text files, things like that, where this kind of takes it a step further, and see if I can at least get the GitHub repo here. But so it's a digipeater, it's an iGate, it's also a KISS TNC, and so I've been playing with it, and I guess to basically support what I wanted to do. Gosh dang it. Sorry. It's throwing me off here. So I'm able to fill in that hole, fill in that gap here in this area for people that are, you're not even seeing that. Sorry. Let's try this again. So filling in that area, and there's a couple different options when you digipede, and when you look at that path, whether it's 1-1, 2-1, if it's made in Rust, Eric is out. That's fine, Eric. But it will, look at the thing coming in. There's the pathing. We can get in. I'm actually going to do a full video on this thing because I really like it. But what it does is it will capture people's packets coming along the interstate and get those out, and I can repeat them. So at least other people know they're there, get the positioning mark, but also at the same time using the iGate to push it up to services, so you can see it on the map. So that is the one side of it. Then the other thing I wanted to do, and this is kind of where I've been diving down, was how do I get weather data out of my Tempest weather station at home and also get that in here. So that's what I've been working on this last kind of couple days in doing that. So there's another project. I was in the Discord talking, and so I believe it's Whiskey 9 PEN. There's a program called WX, which I was trying to use, and basically what it's doing is it's capturing the broadcast data that comes off of the hub for my Tempest weather station. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how the Tempest works, but there's the station that's outside, and then inside is a hub, and they have a RF link, and then that hub will take that data and push it up into Tempest's weather network, and then I can look at it on my phone, I can look at it through a web page, and I can get that. But then also I can opt to share that through a network of stations. So if you wanted to go around and see Tempest weather stations, sometimes you'll see them integrated. If you guys watch Ryan Hall, you'll see in that application he uses, there's Tempest weather stations that you can go and get the individual data from, and look at it. It's kind of neat. So, but it does push out this broadcast data. And so this program, WX, it's very complicated, and it was not working. I tried it both with Raspberry Pi and full-blown, full-flavored version of Linux, and not so. So I was messaging back and forth with the developer of Direwolf about that, and so the gentleman was also doing some things where he said, "Hey, I wrote this thing for my Tempest just to take it straight to APRS, and actually to Direwolf." So Tempest APRS. So it's a little bit simpler because it's just geared to specifically look for a broadcast traffic on your local network coming from your Tempest hub. Take that and then push it out into Direwolf so you can digipede it. I said, well, I also want to get that out up to the the APRS.is or -AIS. So it gets pushed out to the internet too. And so he went in and did a quick modification to it so it can go. So now, hopefully by today, I'll have the ability to also push the Tempest data out to the APRS network. So John says, I have a digipeater doing APRS iGating. Yeah, I mean, and in some case, the iGates are great when you're in an area where you don't have great connectivity, or you don't have a 50-watt radio blasting out APRS packets if you're just using your HT or something, right? So over at Dayton, we'll be a lot of us walking around with our HTs and doing that. So, well, guys, it looks like we are quickly winding up here on an hour. Unfortunately, not as good as I've had in my head this morning when I took off, because I had all this stuff laid out. And obviously, one of the problems, the Gray Wolf, it has a nice APRS FI interface that you can go through, very well laid out. I will do a full video on that, so make sure you check. The other thing that I wanted to talk about really quick is the email list. I have got that up and going now. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you get signed up in there on the email list. Things that are going on, in case there's a goof up like this, you'll get notified when I got a video coming out. Also, I've been securing exclusive discounts, which is another one. So James Corky QRP has given a very exclusive discount, something he's not given to any other of the things, actually double of the best one he's ever given. So two things: make sure you get signed up on there. You'll get the codes for that, and it's basically 20% off of anything in the store, and then free shipping too, which is really cool. So make sure you get signed up on the list for that. And then, each month I'm going to try to secure a new deal with supporting somebody in the community, right? So I'm not necessarily concerned about the big vendors. They do good on their own, but I think, we have a lot of people selling stuff, through Etsy. Spool antenna was an idea that somebody in the community had, right? That's Robin, a good one. And that's turned into a very cool antenna. There's a lot of developed Reliance antennas. Another one that was somebody in the community. It's starting to become a commercial venture, but it's not. It's not a big giant thing. It's mom and pops in their home shops and everything. And that's everything that amateur radio was designed to be, the hobby. And so I want to support those. And so I'm using the list to do those kind of things. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It is 10 o'clock. I think Jim and T.O. are streaming. So let them know. Actually, I just got notification that they went live. So everybody, we'll see you at Dayton. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the Kids Table. We'll be live there too for live streams throughout the thing. Have a great time. Have a safe trip to Dayton. If we see you there, make sure to stop. I've got special stickers too, specifically for Dayton. So if you see me, limited edition. So if you see me early, stop, say hi, get a sticker, and we will talk to you later. Have a safe trip, and 73, everybody.